Hello and welcome to the 2014 Livermore Valley Joint Unified School District CAHSEE Training. I am Alex Eckert, Vice Principal at Livermore High School.
And I'm Beth Cutter, Vice Principal at Granada High School.
And we're going to go ahead and start the training. We thank you very much for your diligence in watching and paying close attention to all directions and instructions. First and foremost is picking up the materials on the days of testing. Here at Livermore High School, we pick up our materials from the lecture room, and at Granada High School, you're going to be picking up your materials from the admin conference room. So testing is going to start at 8:30. That's what time the students have been informed that they need to be in their testing room. We will have each room open at 7:30, so that gives you a full hour before testing time, especially for you early birds who want to come in and get your stuff. And please make sure that you pick up your materials no later than 8:15 a.m. That'll give you a full 15 minutes to get to your classroom, have your classroom prepped for when the students are walking in. When you pick up your materials, you'll fill out and sign a form that talks about the number of answer documents, the number of tests that you checked out, and then, of course, when you bring them back, you'll verify that you've checked out and returned the same amount of materials.
Okay, and it's very important that we ensure that the testing materials are not left unattended. So the security of testing materials is very important. So you may want to get your coffee, use the restroom, do all of those things before you actually pick up the testing materials. Do not leave them unattended once you pick them up. Another issue that's very important that we need to monitor is cell phones. There should be no use of cell phones or other electronics at all during the testing session. So it's your responsibility to make sure that cell phones are not out at any time during the testing period. One thing that you could do would be just to have all students keep their cell phones put away. You may want to collect cell phones. I've heard of teachers giving students a ticket in exchange for their cell phone and keeping the cell phones in a bag. So whatever method works for you is fine, as long as cell phones are not out at all during the testing session. It's also your responsibility to be monitoring the testing the entire time. So you should be walking around, observing students, and ensuring that there are no electronics and no cheating.
So to identify the students that are coming to your room, you're going to know many of them, but some of them you're not. First and foremost is you can check the student ID. The students are being instructed to bring their ID with them. Believe it or not, some students might forget. And so included on your testing list of students is going to be photos next to each student's name. And so if a student does not have their ID, then you can check the photo against the student to make sure that it is in fact who they say they are. And if for some reason, if those two methods aren't enough, just please feel free to call myself at Livermore, to call Beth at Granada, and we can address any of those concerns. So distribution of materials, this is distributing the materials within your class. I'm not talking about the distribution of us giving the materials to you. This is inside of your classroom. I took a rock climbing class in college and we triple checked everything. So connecting the rope to the carabiners, that's people's lives. And so we're triple checking everything. And so I say use the mountain climbing principle, use the rock climbing principle. Triple check, make sure that you're giving the correct answer document to the correct student. Have the student check to make sure it's the right name, the right birth date, the right ID number. 99% of all test answer documents are pre-ID'd. And so we need to make sure that those are all going to the right person. Again, make sure that pre-ID info is correct. If you have two students with the same last name, make sure that they're getting the right test. That's how we can ensure that the accuracy of who's taking the test stays true.
All right. You're going to get a booklet that has directions for administration, also known as the DFA. It's very, very important that those instructions are read verbatim. So you can't abbreviate it. You can't assume that the kids know. You need to read it word for word. And I know that that's a little bit painful, but it's just something that you have to do. So please follow those directions for administration word for word. There will be notes provided in the bin that you pick up, so the bin or box that you pick up that has the test booklets and answer documents. And in those daily notes, we'll specify which pages of the DFA need to be read on each day. After the test, when students are finished, it's important that you account for all of the materials that you've given them. So all of the testing booklets and answer documents need to be collected. And we expect you to walk around and individually pick up these items from each student. So students shouldn't be passing them forward. They also shouldn't be walking around and collecting them. That's something that you should do as the proctor.
So when testing time is over, the bell is ringing for lunch, and you are releasing students, if the entire group is finished, and probably in 8 out of 10 classrooms this is going to be the case, if the entire group is finished, you're going to go ahead, after you've collected all the materials, release the students to lunch when the bell rings, and bring your materials directly to the lecture room here at LHS, to the admin conference room at GHS. You're going to fill out the second portion of the sign-in sheet, which indicates that you are turning in the same amount of materials that you checked out. Now, if there's a few students who are still working, and again, this is probably 2 out of 10 classrooms, when the lunch bell rings, you're going to release the finished students to lunch. And then we need you, please, to escort those few students and all of the materials. So you are the only one handling the materials. You're not having the students who are still testing carry their own test. So you escort those few students and all materials to the library. And when you get to the library, you'll have somebody checking in your materials. And then once they've checked in the materials, they'll take those couple students and get them going to make sure that they can finish the test. We need to ensure that this happens. Otherwise, you could possibly have to deal with this guy, and that does not look pleasant.
Not at all. All right, so we have some do's and don'ts. Please do ensure that there is no cheating. The best way to do that is to be up and walking around. You should be monitoring the students. The expectation is that you're not sitting on your computer or on your cell phone during the testing session. You should be monitoring the entire time. If you do suspect that there's any cheating, please let Alex know if you're at Livermore High and myself if you're at Granada. Triple check, again, going back to the mountain climbing analogy, we want to just check it again, and then one more time just to be sure. We really need students to fill in the version number and test book serial number, so please help us make sure that they've done that. And then you're going to, please, depending on your classroom, I know that this is going to be more challenging for some of you, but we need to make sure that any English language or math related information that's up in your classroom gets taken down or covered. Again, follow the directions for administration word for word, and then ask if you have any questions, and we'll make sure that you get the information that you need. As far as our don'ts, don't allow students to write with anything other than a number 2 pencil. If a student isn't sure if their pencil will work, if they have their own mechanical pencil, but they're not sure, just have them use one of the number 2 pencils that'll be provided. We'll make sure that you have enough pencils for your students. Do not allow the use of electronics at any time. Again, consider collecting cell phones if that's something that you're comfortable with. If you'd rather just ensure that students keep them put away, that's fine. Again, in addition to cell phones, that also includes any kind of computer technology. So that includes iPads or other tablets, things like that. They shouldn't be using any scratch paper. Students can write in the test booklet, so that's the scratch paper that they should use.
And finally, we're finished, but we hope that you will listen for one more minute because there are a couple thank yous that are really important to us. First and foremost, it's just thank you for remembering who our students are. Students get tested a lot, and the CAHSEE is one of the most important to them because, of course, it represents their high school diploma or a step towards their high school diploma. And so whatever your opinion about mandated tests or the CAHSEE, whatever, just try and put that opinion aside, whether it's positive or negative, because again, we want to create an environment where the students feel comfortable, where they can try their best so that they can have that opportunity to earn their diploma. Thank you so much for your diligence in administering the CAHSEE. A lot of steps, a lot of instructions, a lot of regulations we're asking you to follow, and so we really just appreciate your diligence. And probably most important for both of us is thanking you for your patience with us. It's a lot of work going together, creating every part of administering this exam. And while we hope everything is going to run as smoothly as possible, we know that there's going to be some hiccups. Sometimes what works for us in administering the exam may be different than what you would think would work. So just know that we're doing what we feel is best for the students so that they can have an opportunity to do their best on the exam. So we thank you for your patience with us. We thank you for listening, watching, taking notes, and we look forward to just a positive and productive testing session.
Yes, thank you very much, and we appreciate your hard work.
All right.